Okay, I have a Plat 3 Baptiste review for Goobins. They say they're a hardcore Ana main, just trying to diversify their hero pool, and we're gonna do a review for Baptiste.
One. Round one. Capture the objective.
So Helios.
Let us keep our questionable choices to a minimum.
I typically like Bap on this map. I like Bap on a lot of maps. It's like Havana is the one where I'm like forcing Tear Coat most of the time if a teammate doesn't use it. So, at least you have Soldier as one of your hit scans currently. I pretty much like what you're doing now. If anything, I mean you're obviously gonna jump into the payload and or payload. You're gonna jump into the capture point and start capping it while your team is pressuring. If anything, against the Pharah, I would have just gotten a smidge closer because I think you were just in the very beginnings of damage fall off and you would have been able to take her out. Just like not playing directly on top of your team just because of the splash damage or anything, but playing either side of the statue would have been good, or just in between the pillar and the statue would have been nice. Just so you can have a place to go where the rockets can't hit you. Obviously, this is just nitpick, really, more than anything. Like, it doesn't actually mean anything. I think you're doing just fine right now. Still doing fine. If anything, and this is just like potential stuff, it's not even necessarily that you needed to do this. You could have came up here to see if you could get someone in the back line. Just be a little disruptive, especially since one of their supports is a Mercy. And you know, Mercy not very high on the combat skills or anything like that. That's just like potential stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing. You're just playing Bap as like a brawl healer right now, which is, you know, pretty much what he's made to be. It's just unfortunate that your tank is Monkey, because Monkey is very much not a brawl tank. Yeah, we're kind of entering that scenario where the weakness of your tank playing Monkey is going to start mattering because you're getting pushed pretty hard. Good lamp. I won't comment on that too much. That's pretty funny. There, I guess specifically whenever you had your lamp, you still had like 3 or 4 seconds on your shift. I would have liked to see you kite backwards while shooting and healing, just pretty much just walking backwards in a straight line, near cover or anything like to your next corner, just so that you can play more defensively while waiting for your shift. Uh, I mean, it was pretty much a reset anyway whenever the soldier fell off the map, and I don't believe the Genji was back yet. Yeah, no, he's just now showing up. It looks like with Moira, and then the tank ends up falling as well. So it's more or less a reset now, anyway. Oh God. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So the thing that I'm noticing now is that, like, as a support, you know, you want to give your team a little bit of the benefit of the doubt at first before they like prove themselves to be incompetent. So your soldier just sprints it straight down and ults in the middle of like the entire team and dies, and then unfortunately you're in a position where you're like forced to try and help your team in a position that is not very good. What I would have liked to have seen is, instead of running straight to point, you just take a position either up here looking down on like the crevice where your monkey's playing, with the monkey having ult and now using it, it's not really like a huge priority that you need to keep him up completely, like while he's in normal mode, because he can just ult. The only stun that they have is the javelin. Otherwise, I would have preferred to see you play like over here on pillars, just like playing in the power position with the mega in case you ever need to like back off and grab the mega and then re-engage. Just because the Reaper has snuck up on you a couple times now, and I mean that seems to be his game plan. Really, is just like divide and divide and pop a support before he moves on to a juicier target. But the reason I say like playing up here over there is just like your team seems to be trying to force these like 4v5s with you as the like background healer, but neither of your DPS I've seen so far have literally been trying to create any kind of crossfire. It's all just been like brute force front door type stuff. So I kind of want to see if you either make an adjustment or your team somehow like makes an adjustment mentally. And just as an aside, it's unfortunate that Immortality Field doesn't stop Death Blossom because I hate that too. It just gets blown up. But yeah, another thing I didn't even think about to say, if you set up a crossfire on pillars specifically with your ult, you have a pretty good spot to drop it between the pillars and the statue to where you can like if necessary put your lamp behind a pillar and just have full reign of that entire side where your team is and fighting. So what I mean by that is oh man, this is so slow. I wish it was faster. Holy moly. So what I'm talking about specifically is right here. So let me grab this pen. So if you had been set up like right in this area, whenever Reaper got you here with the Death Blossom and everything, if you were set up like right here or right here, whenever Monkey and Orisa are fighting here, if you ult, let's say uh, right here, you can lamp here, and like nobody will be able to kill it unless they're coming from this direction, or if they're pushing through the lamp, or they're pushing through the amplification matrix. But if you have lamp here, the only thing that they can do is either push straight into amp matrix where you're going to shred them, or they have to go all the way around and try and get a flank on you. But in this power position, you can just immediately just start shooting Orisa, and even if she's fortified, you're pretty likely to shred straight through her. And then popping your healing grenades onto Monkey is like all the healing he could ever need because it doubles healing and stuff too. So you're doing 140 on every grenade, which is just crazy amounts of value. I think that could have made a big difference in that fight specifically. And you've been holding on to your amplification matrix for a little while. You probably could have already charged another one or gotten pretty close to another one. But like, hindsight's really easy to talk about. But yeah, let's get back to that. I don't want to take too much time over explaining stuff. You're AFK right now. Okay. Probably just typing to your team about taking a reset or something. Maybe a little flame. You never know. So here, kind of the same thing that I was talking about. Like, your DPS and stuff just are not taking any kind of crossfires, like, at all. Like, where is Soldier right now? Did he run through or something? Yeah, it looks like he went left, got scared because Reaper was there, and is deciding to run back now. So if you, with your exo boots, can just, like, jump up here to where you're relatively safe from just about everybody, you can create a crossfire on the supports. Especially since your soldier's just having a ton of downtime with his not finding value and everything, and unfortunately, like trying to force through the choke here is like super risky business because like it's a Narissa with cooldowns, both supports right behind them. There's probably turrets. Yeah, there's turrets on the other side if that hasn't already been like established. So like just getting up here to create a fire onto the supports, and then you still have access to shoot healing grenades at your tank as well. But like just taking these better positions where you just have a strong view of the enemy, and you can either just pressure them either with damage or by killing them, can make a huge difference whenever you're trying to break through a choke like this. Good, 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 good. I like that you were going to use your shift first. You realized it was not going to be enough, and you threw the lamp basically in the mid-animation. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, gotta guard your corpses. Just as a thought, you can sometimes predict and time it to where if you fully charge your exo boots, you can actually jump over the damage of Orissa's ult. It's not consistent or anything, but it can be done. Also, this is just nitpick, but Symmetra Wall does block line of sight for your shift and everything. So if you're in voice comms, try and communicate with your team what side of the wall they should play for heals, so that they know where to come from. Okay, this is the first time I've seen you use a cooldown like badly. So shift long cooldown, lamp long cooldown. The only reason I'm even like quote scalding you for this or anything is that it's such a long cooldown and you didn't get very much value out of it. And without cooldowns, Baptiste is a relatively fragile hero because he has no, like he doesn't have any burst healing or utility outside of his cooldowns. Like his gun's great and his healing grenades are great, but you know he makes up for the fact that it's just numbers with his cooldowns. And because the team is respawning and about to come through this choke, by using your shift there, you take away that panic button of whenever you're in the middle of a fight with them, like somebody uses like a big AoE or something like that, and everyone takes a big chunk of damage. Now you don't have your shift in order to keep people up in the heat of the moment where you can't just like spread out grenades and stuff to keep everybody alive. So especially when you're expecting a team fight to break out, you got to be really careful about using your shift, especially because it just makes you really vulnerable for those next like 15 seconds. This looks like you're just this seems more just like you're kind of tilted or something like that, because that lamp was obviously unnecessary in that moment just because you know, nobody's even low or anything, at least not yet. And then specifically, whenever you know they're pushing through, Baptiste does have a pretty good range. I would have been playing quite a bit further back just because it gives you a little bit more safety. I mean, you know, hindsight and everything again, but if you're playing like back in like right in this area, it gives you two places to go. You can go left, you can go right, or you can even back up just a little bit further, or even go back through their space just to get away from stuff. And then in that case, if you're actually playing on in between here and here, you have two places you can put lamp where actually Death Blossom can't destroy them. But I feel like you're just playing a little tilted or a little bit panicked in that fight, so not really faulting you or anything for that one.
Advisor activated.
You're not. You seemed a little distracted there. I'm not sure why you pushed your buttons or anything there, because now you don't have them for the return fight. Well, they're coming up. I shouldn't say that. Oh, that's rough. Oh, that's rough. Oh, that's so rough. Yeah, again, just kind of another situation of playing closer than you should, just because you're like, I don't know, frazzled, I suppose. Like you feel like you need to be playing on top of your team. Because that was another situation where you could have, as Baptiste, you could have posted up on this high ground over here and had a pretty good access to just about everybody, especially since your team is playing this half of the point. So I guess first comment is there's not really you haven't been given a reason yet to just like jump off the high ground or anything. I mean, the good part about playing Baptiste is that you have exo boost to just get back up on the high ground whenever you need to. But there wasn't really a reason yet to drop down or anything. That's unfortunate. There's not much you could have been able to do for that guy. Like, it seems like he just jumps straight on a Reaper for some reason. Yeah, this is a scary situation to be in. It's basically a reset. I mean, everybody's holding out. Okay, there it goes. I was about to say they're all playing their lives like crazy well. Maybe they can stall until the tank comes back, and then unfortunately they just died at the end. Your tank loves his dive tanks. Or their dive tanks, excuse me. Good confirm. So now as BAP, depending on where your team's playing, you can play this high ground. Just depending if your team's playing like actually taking space and like trying to hold positions or not. So basically where you're at is good. You can also play out and over here depending on where everyone's posted up at. Otherwise, if people are playing point or like playing pretty tight on here, I like to play up here specifically. It just gives you tons of information to play off of. But right now, you're playing in probably the best spot you can at the moment. As people rotate, you're probably going to want to peek on the enemies that are coming in just so you can do damage before they reach you. Just any kind of pre-damage to take an advantage in an early fight is good, obviously. Still kind of no reason to drop. I would be playing either that. You got to be careful about shift because again, it's like there's an impending team fight, and you're not going to have one of your cooldowns for it because that cooldown got eaten. Yeah, that's a pretty rough lamp. So if you're going to lamp up here where you don't really have a corner to use it on, you more or less just want to just play it, just do it flat so it gives you more surface area to work with. With this one specifically, again, you're in the heat of the moment. With this one specifically, it just like completely cuts you off from what you're trying to do, and they're in this like weird dead spot, right, where it's like really hard to shoot through the amp matrix and hit them with it. But most of the time with amp, you just want to put it on a corner and as like a diagonal on a corner.
Hi there.
A lot of this just has to do with your discomfort on BAP, so don't be discouraged by anything that I'm saying. So now with you being the only hit scan on your team, unfortunately the Pharah is basically your responsibility, which as BAP really isn't that bad. With exo boots especially, if they're just shooting rockets at your feet and stuff, you actually can just jump over both the rockets and the splash damage. That's just something to keep in mind. Again, with the shift, you have an impending team fight. You don't really want to use it early like you did in Overwatch 1, where it was just like, you know, a pretty lengthy amount of regen. Because now it's like actually a burst of regen. Like in the middle of the fight, you get an immediate amount of instant HP back, unlike in Overwatch 1. So, yeah, you kind of got caught lacking there. So a lot of this just comes down to you can definitely play BAP as a brawl healer, which is a lot of what you've been doing. But because of exo boots, you can play in these positions that Ana's love playing in, but really don't have time to rotate to. You know, like an Ana would have loved to have played this fight from the top of this ledge, but an Ana doesn't have time to just wrap all the way back to the the enemy spawn and climb up here, right? But as Vap, you can just climb, you can just jump up here at your leisure and play the entire fight from right here. And if you play further back, or just like slightly further back, like playing this cover here, you'll be able to listen as well for the Pharah, and you have multiple directions you can escape to, so that the Pharah isn't just like trapping you in this room or concussing you off the map or whatever, you know? So it is correct to play Bap in the way that you're playing him sometimes, but in a lot of situations, you just want to play. You want to play in positions that not necessarily as far away as an Ana would want to play, but in positions where an Ana wishes they could play if they had exo boots, if that makes sense.
Not every day gives you a second chance.
So yeah, you're on a full reset. Probably just wait for the team. You're not in a rush now, but this might be the last team fight, obviously. Just want to make sure nobody gets left behind and gets picked off while they're trying to get there. Stuff like that. Oh, this is really rough. Oh lord. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to push through your window. You really don't need to push through your window. You could just fight on it.
Got the victory fever.
It ended up being fine, but I was scared for a second there. I was mixing up team colors. Okay, they're on monkey, probably just for the speed. Their Sim's definitely throwing there. Yeah, you're just playing really, really close. I like how you're playing on this door frame because you saw the other Bap use it. Good confirm. Oh lord. Nice. Okay. Very good. Very good.
Ready for bat. Ready for.
Just fast forward a bit. So just opening thoughts on this point specifically. People love playing Hog on this fucking part of the map. I hate it. It's just dumb. You know, environmental kills are dumb. Again, this is a situation where as the Baptiste, you can play in these like power positions that Anas wish they could play on, like specifically up here. As long as they're not on Pharah first, and if they are on Pharah, you don't stand too close to an edge where you can get booped off or anything like that. But your like number one priority is just trying to make sure you LOS the Hog at basically all times, and then take these like strong power positions where you can like heal your team, and then on rotates like get a strong view of the enemy team where there's not a huge chance of them being able to retaliate against you. Obviously, it's always contextual, like based on what their team comp is, whether they're playing something that can get to you quickly or not. Otherwise, there's always you can always play over in this area, just like playing the minis. Just any way that you can just LOS this Hog and prevent falling in that hole will be great. Also, I hate healing Genjis too. I know how you feel. If it makes it any easier for you, whenever they're like jump flipping around walls and stuff, just try to aim it at the wall more than anything and just hit them with the splash. Like, it's almost never worth it until you get comfortable with the healing to try and hit them directly. That's unfortunate. Oh, she already has bomb. That's kind of crazy. pretty good. Not a ton of notes on that one. I mean,
Taste of poison.
you obviously know you could have hit more shots than you did and stuff. In the middle of fights, whenever you're healing, make sure you're not just healing, you're also shooting. Because 2 shots for every healing grenade is basically free. You really don't lose anything for that. So now that they're on Zarya, you can pretty much play outside of her laser beam range at all times, just by playing on the other side of the hole, if possible. Just things like that. This is fine.
Someone has to keep you alive.
Again, with Windows specifically, if you're gonna put it somewhere, you want to put it somewhere where you have cover. Like putting it here would have been a bit better, or if you're going to put it right here, if you like put it at like a diagonal or anything, so that specifically now, because there was a Zarya there as well, you can actually move to the other side of it and have an angle where you can shoot inside this entire pocket as well. Unfortunate. In that situation, or whenever you're being pushed by characters that aren't extremely mobile, you can charge your exo boots and just try and look for an exit. And then even in fights specifically against a lot of characters that are projectiles or anything like that, you can actually use your exo boots in the middle of a fight to try and throw their aim off. It starts getting harder and harder as you like climb the ranks and stuff. But I mean, anything to make it harder for you to hit is a good thing, even if people are really good at aiming. Yeah, I would have liked to see you playing up in these power positions and stuff more. Playing in this spot where you can be aggressive is obviously also good. Do gotta be a little bit faster on the lamps and stuff, but I mean, she had bomb, not a big deal. You're doing pretty good about weaving. You know that Baptiste is like a weaving DPS support, so I mean, just kind of have to make that a second nature type situation. Okay, so I mean, from the review, it's like you really are not bad at Bap whatsoever. It's more just like you have a general discomfort on him. Be careful with your cooldown usages and stuff. You know, I talked about the specific situations and like proper amp matrix, but then the rest is just positional stuff. Like playing BAP as a brawl support is good if you're playing with another brawl, if you're playing with like a brawl tank, but you don't have to play directly in the mix. You can take power positions where you're like always at your effective range for damage, but also aren't particularly easy to hit or get to. Just like whenever you're in a fight, just kind of like try to like add it to your checklist of like thinking if the enemy tank or support or like DPS just like starts holding W, are they going to be able to reach me, or do they need to use some kind of cooldown or something to get there? You know, like if you're up on the ruins, if you're up on that high ground looking over the point a few times, there was no way that anybody could get to you except for the Reaper, and the Reaper would have to use TP to do it, and it would be completely telegraphed. So you could just rotate while that's channeling and stuff. But otherwise, yeah, just cooldown usage, not using your regen burst without a purpose, just because not having it hurts so bad. Otherwise, as you get more comfortable on Baptiste, your performance will improve. I can already see the inklings of strong bat play.